President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy appear to have reached an agreement to raise the debt ceiling. A new spending cuts budget package could follow suit.
But while we may have a proposed deal in place, what does the current stance mean for our neighbors and allies, including Canada? Joining us now to weigh in on this is the host of the Charbon Report, Michael Charbon. I knew I was going to say your name improperly. Please forgive me, it won't happen again. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Deneen and Tom, pleasure to be you. Happy Memorial Day to you and everybody else, NEWSMAX viewers.
Thank you. So, President Biden released a statement late yesterday about this potential agreement, saying in part, it is an important step forward that reduces spending while protecting critical programs for working people and growing the economy for everyone. Michael, your initial reaction to this proposed deal?
So anything that averts a default is a positive. I mean, I think basically Kevin McCarthy has a tiger by the tail now. We're seeing from the news report you just put up and your insightful discussion, he's leading the way. And I think that makes a huge difference because Americans want to know that they're not making a default, because a default is going to affect everybody. It's going to affect markets globally and, of course, markets in Canada. So I think that's a first point. Where I think the trouble is that a lot of people have not identified is the consumer debt index. Imagine the consumer index. Canada is actually the largest in the G7 of their GDP against credit cards and automotive delinquency. So people not paying their way. They're overextended. So let's look at the debt, consumer debt index in the United States. It's about 17.5 billion. That's up about 2.9 trillion, I should say, 17.5 trillion. That's up 2.9 trillion since 2019. You have 350 million people. The Canadian consumer debt is 2.1 trillion, and we only have 35 million people. That's 10%. So if you were to add 10% to where we're at, that means Canada, if we were at the same population as the United States, would be 21 trillion. So the markets obviously had a little bit of jitters, but I think what McCarthy has put forth, and I totally acknowledge what you said, Deneen, about spending the time to read the bill. I think he made a huge impression on America, and I think that they averted something that could have been catastrophic, because anybody who fails their debt, Deneen and Tom, that puts forth question of whether they are solvent and how they're conducting themselves.
Yeah.
Michael, should this cross all the way through the finish line before June 5th, how does this impact Canada and the other U.S. allies?
I think everybody was jittery about, regardless what naysayers want to say, the American economy and the American dollar still is supreme. It is the engine, the global engine, some would say. So when the global engine is having trouble keeping just moderating itself, I think that poses a lot of problems. You can see there's a lot of economies internationally that are struggling coming out of COVID. There's still unemployment. There's a high inflation rates, the conflict in the Ukraine. All those things are mounting higher expenses. Things are going up. People are trying to retract the cost of gasoline. I mean, you feel that every day in the United States.
Yeah,
so
I'm sorry to cut you off there, Michael. Yeah, no, go ahead. You can finish. I'm sorry.
That's right. No, I just wanted to say I believe that there's a sigh of relief globally. That's the way I would conclude that.
Very good. Well, sir, Michael Charbon, thank you so much for joining us, for your expertise. We do appreciate it.